Hey guys, Tyler with Independence Overland. I'm on my way back from a trip right now, and I have gotten a chance to use this trailer for I think a total of 5 different nights now. 2 different trips, 5 different nights. I'm not much of a trailer guy after my experience owning the Conqueror camper. That was not my favorite camper in the world as it turned out. It was just too complicated to put up. The FJ wasn't the best towing vehicle, imagine that, but I just didn't like the trailer in general because it took too long to put the thing up. And it was built for a different country. I thought I could make it work with like a diesel heater trying to keep the thing hot. But anyway, point being is that camper was not my favorite. It was not my favorite to deal with. It was a little too big to deal with on trails and stuff, and I found it very limiting. So this particular trailer belongs to Tactical Application Vehicles over in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And they're the guys that have done a lot of cool custom work, and I've checked out their Land Cruiser on the channel. I've checked out their custom Tacoma on 37-inch tires a couple years ago. I've become buddies with those guys, and so at the last Overland Expo, they're like, hey, why don't you take this thing out and go just see what you think of it. And they're allowing me to do some content on the channel, so I was excited to do it. So one, I needed to do some towing tests on the Tacoma, but the other side of this was that it's getting cold. This morning I woke up, it was probably like 26, 27 degrees where I was. So having a heated environment was a big one for me, and soon I will have something like that on the back of my truck, but for now I don't. So I wanted to test something like this out. This is specifically the Mission Overland Summit. Mission Overland is out of Canada, so they're gonna do a better job of designing something that can put up with the cold than something like the Conqueror campers. Something I need to touch on that's really cool is I don't know that they advertise this specifically as a 4-season camper, but one of the things is it does have a honeycomb sort of insulation panel on the floor and on the walls, and I believe the roof as well. So the Truma heating system that's inside of this thing, this actually heats the water and the air. So because of that, and because this is inside of an insulated space, that Truma heater is going to produce a certain amount of heat and keep this space somewhat warm. The benefit there is that your water is not going to freeze when you're on a trip. I don't know what the temperature rating is or what they claim it can go down to. I know that I was in freezing temperatures this weekend overnight, and I had absolutely no problems whatsoever. So what I was doing is I was just running the heater all night, of course, and that's going to put off a certain amount of heat in here, and I didn't have any problem with anything being iced up in here. The Truma heater exhaust on the back of the camper over here, that was dripping and it was just covered in ice. Everything was covered in ice this morning. So this works as I'm gonna say it's a 4-season camper. I don't know if they truly claim that, but if you're smart about it and you keep that running, and you might even have to keep that running, maybe even just the water heater on eco mode, you can keep that running while you're traveling, and you can use this as a 4-season camper. So I think that that is pretty sweet. I believe the water tank on this is on the bottom underneath a skid plate, because this does have an entire skid plate on the bottom. So I think your main challenge is going to be fighting how much water you have, because if you have 33 gallons of water, how cold is it going to need to be to truly freeze all of that water? So that might be the one thing. You'd have to talk to Mission Overland about that. But in situations like what I'm in, where it's just freezing overnight and then it's warming back up, I wouldn't even worry about it. So with something like what I own, the Conqueror camper and other trailers, the water lines are not in an insulated space like this. And so you're gonna run into situations where even freezing overnight is gonna be a problem. With this trailer, it's not a problem. This is a little vent that goes into the inside of the cab, and what this is for, or at least I'm pretty positive, is this is for hooking up a portable AC, like a Zero Breeze, so you can set that right there and then just pump it in there. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to utilize that, but it's one of those features that I think is good. And then right here, you have your plug-in for your 30 amp port, which that is awesome. So the team over at Tactical Application Vehicles, if you were to buy one of these, they will do some upgrades for you, pretty much whatever you want. I would recommend putting a lithium battery into it. I've had no problems with the deep cycle, but it's just one of those things that a lithium battery from somebody who has switched over a past trailer with a lithium battery, man, it makes such a difference. You just don't have to worry about power basically at all. This does have a solar package, so it's gonna charge up all day long, and using the little trailer plug, I've had no problems keeping this thing charged, and I've never once ran out of power, but I have gotten the voltages down until like 11 volts. So that's not terrible, but as far as just peace of mind goes, if I was gonna own one of these, absolutely I would be putting a lithium battery in it. So that's an upgrade I know that they will do. You just have to ask about it whenever you buy one. So I didn't get a chance to use the shower awning just because it's been so cold. I wasn't gonna take a shower, and I'm doing pretty short trips. But this is something that I do think is a great feature. My truck is gonna have a shower awning just like the FJ did. That makes a big difference. And then over here in that insulated cubby that I was showing you, you pull the hose out and you can just take a shower right there. And it does have some serious pressure to it. The Truma water heating and air heating system, it has an eco mode, And I'm not sure exactly how that works, but then it has a hot mode. You turn that on, you go over to the sink or to this spigot over here, and I mean, it's hot within like instantly. And then there's a boost mode. So if you're taking really long showers, you use boost mode and it'll keep that water hot and it won't run out. So that's pretty cool. The other thing on the side here is it does have some outside lights on both this side and the other side. And that actually worked really good in combination with my trail hunter because that truck has the side illumination from the bed. And when I was backing into a campsite in the dark, I came back here and flipped on the lights on this, and then I had the ones on the trail hunter. So I was able to fully see what I was backing into at night. And that was a very nice feature to have. I know it's made more so for like lighting up your campsite, but I found that backing into a dark spot, it just worked really well. So one of the reasons that I did not like my Conqueror was because it took so much time to set that thing up. And this is the polar opposite. And I know I'm comparing my Conqueror to this, but that's really my experience level. And those things are looked at as being the ultimate off-road camper. And yeah, they look cool, but take it from me, they're kind of a pain in the ass. So this thing has just 2 latches right here, just typical rubber latches. You could find these at a hardware store if you needed to replace them. You pop those up, you push the lid up, and then there is a bar in the inside that keeps that from coming down at night if you choose to do that. So setting this up is simple. It takes literally like 10 seconds to do. And then if you wanted to stop at like a truck stop or something like that, or it's extra cold because it is a fabric on the sides like you would expect, you can sleep with this down. So if you're just doing a roadside stop and you're camping out for the night on your way somewhere across the country, you can just climb in here and it is very easy to do so. I do appreciate the rear door here. It's quick to get inside of. One thing I will say that I wish I had a few times was I wish the door opened farther. And the reason for that is because the door's handy because if it's raining, you can get underneath it, get inside the camper, and you're not getting wet while you're loading stuff up or getting the bed ready or something like that. So it kind of works as an awning. The downside is when you're sitting at your table in there, you can't see out because last weekend I was camped in Aspen over a lake that I had completely to myself, and I backed the trailer up because my thinking, I'm new to this trailer, I opened that rear hatch and I was like, oh, I'll overlook the lake. Well, this doesn't quite open far enough. So it would be cool if there was a way to do that. And I'm not sure that there is because of the strut length. So while the door has its pros, it does have a little bit of a con. And then another thing is I bumped my head on it a few times just because I'm taller. And so I just forget that there's a door over the top of me. I'm sure if I owned the thing, I would get used to it. But that was just something to note. I just noticed my step was out when I was coming down the pass here. So you pull that step out right there, it makes it easy to get inside.
This channel is proudly sponsored by Onyx Off-Road. I used Onyx while I had this trailer so I could scout out trails that I would feel comfortable pulling it down. With access to trail ratings and trail closures, and sometimes even trail photos, that makes planning really easy. And now a new feature is dispersed camping layers. Look for yellow highlights along trails so you can know where you can start looking for your next campsite. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description box to start a free trial and see if Onyx Off-Road is right for you.
Okay, and like I said, this does have lighting on the outside here, and then you got your full awning, and this is from Overland Vehicle Systems. I camped in a lot of wind, and it was so cold that I actually wanted the warm sun on me, so I didn't get that out either. I have spent time underneath this awning at the Overland Expos, and it is a big awning that covers, you know, the entire side. And I'm wanting to say this one even comes out this direction to where it comes to the front of the camper, so it's very useful. So the guys at TAV, they did put an extra rail up here, and I think that's a front runner rail. That way they can put mountain bikes on the front. But on the front here, you have a big basket where you can store all sorts of stuff. So what I've been doing is taking my cases out of the truck bed, putting them up there, my extra Onyx propane tank that I have, putting that up there, and then in the storage cubby on the opposite side of the refrigerator here, I've been putting my Onyx fire pit. So I've been able to bring tons of propane, tons of my just typical camping gear, and it's been very easy to do so. The kitchen on this thing is incredibly easy to use. And like I said, when you go in there, if the water's cold like it is right now, I could go in there, hit hot water, and I mean, you let the sink run for like 5 seconds and it's hot. It doesn't take any time at all, and I do appreciate that. There's not much line for it to run through, so you're not wasting a bunch of water. That was something I experienced on my past trailer, was that you'd have to let it run for a few minutes, and then it was kind of like a Julka sort of a system, a cheaper one. And it took forever for the water to heat up. It didn't really work that good at elevation. I was camped at 11.3, 11.5, something like that. And I had zero problem with getting hot water or hot air into this thing. So that was very nice. And like I said, this thing has a skid plate on the entire bottom of it. I'm gonna have to do some repairs before I return this to TAV. I did take a hit on the wiring up front. That's my fault. Those guys tow this thing with all sorts of trucks, so the wiring's a little longer than I needed it to be. So I did sever some wires and I had to repair that last weekend on my trip. But I did take this down some serious off-roading stuff. And I hit the hitch a few times because of the truck being a little bit lower than I wish it was. But the camper itself, I don't think it ever bumped on anything. The camper never touched. It has a ton of clearance. I'll put it on the screen because I don't remember exact what the number is, but this thing is badass. So this camper does have a 31-gallon water tank, which is just awesome because having that much water, I mean, you really don't have to think about it. Combine that 31-gallon water tank with something like the Guzzle Stream, and I mean, you could travel and never run out of water. I think that that is just awesome. So that's really nice. The windows here, they do open, and then you have a blackout screen, and then you have the other screens that will go up and let more light through. And it's more like a typical screen. And then you can also have no screen at all. So that's pretty nice. This trailer is around 2,400 pounds or so dry, and I have had it loaded up with quite a bit of stuff. I do wish I had some more time to take like a week-long trip in it because it has been pretty enjoyable compared to my past experiences with trailers. But I just didn't have the time to do that. So these weekend trips is where it's at. So I got a few comments on people mentioning that I don't even like trailers, and I have said that in videos before, and that is the case. I would prefer to have camp on my back. I like it being built onto the vehicle. That's better for my type of travel. But the thing is right now is going up into a tent with a diesel heater when it's getting dark at 6:30, that is just not an enjoyable experience. Anybody who's done it, you know, it's nice to have the heat, but going and hanging out up there just isn't that fun. I wanted to get out and use my new truck some more. And it came so late into the season that I wanted to have a warm environment where I could hang out, do some stuff, camp with the dog, and just be able to get away from the elements. And this trailer has been really fun to test out both the truck's towing capacity and just to try something out, because using systems like this gives me ideas on how I want to build my truck. Obviously, I'm not going to have as much space to work with, but it does give me ideas.
Jumping into the interior on these campers, there is a ton of storage inside of these things, and it's all underneath the queen-size bed. And near the doors also has a ton of space where you can fit just about anything. Personally, we're using this as kind of a his and her side for our storage of our clothes. These campers also include a Bluetooth sound system. Right next to the bench, you can see the speakers. So if you want to listen to music or hook up a movie, that is an option. Something that did drive us a little crazy with this camper is the excessive blue lighting coming from the control panel. The entire cabin will be lit up with blue light unless you cover it with something. So if this was mine and I was going to keep this thing, I would definitely be stripping that out with at least a red light. But most likely I would completely replace the system with some lighting that I can actually turn off, like a red arc red vision or something like that. I should mention that it isn't just Mission Overland that does this. They're cheap, inexpensive switches, and to upgrade that would cost the customer a lot more money. But nothing's perfect, and most of us customize things anyway.
So while I'm not particularly good with a trailer, this thing has just been easy to tow off-road, and I did take it on some serious off-road stuff, and I was impressed with it. I really was impressed with it, and it's been fun to deal with. So of course it goes without saying that with a trailer, you're longer. Getting into little spaces like I'm in right now is kind of a hassle to have to back up, but that's any trailer. So I just wanted to do a quick review on this thing. If you guys want to check one of these out, go onto Tactical Application Vehicles website or give those guys a call. They are the dealer for them. They can customize them to an extent and give you whatever you want on these things. But I have to say that it's a pretty useful little trailer. And if I were doing a long trip, like a couple weeks or a couple months even, or if I had kids, then this is pretty sweet because you can get the drop down bunks. So you can sleep 2 children up there on the roof, which is pretty cool. I haven't seen that in anything else. So it does really expand. Or if you've got a rooftop tent like I have as well as this, then you could travel with a family in a smaller vehicle because this thing will hold all sorts of gear. So you can contact Tactical Application Vehicles in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they can trick this thing out for you, customize it however you want it. Thank you guys for letting me borrow it, and thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time.
As always, thank you so much for watching, and click one of the videos in the corner to check out more of our adventure, off-road, and overland related content.